So my name is Chad Renando. I'm the Community Manager of Firestation101. My role here is to help pretty much anyone with a bright spark of an idea build, grow, and scale their business. So we really do have an emphasis on helping entrepreneurs in the region, but we have people coming from outside of the region, everywhere from Brisbane and the Gold Coast to Toowoomba, coming just to be a part of it. And what we do is we bring together the ecosystem, the other entrepreneurs, the mentors, investors, corporate partners, volunteers, interns, service providers, and engaging with the local university to all say, how can we help? Firestation101 is unique in that we're the only innovation hub in Australia, I believe, fully owned and operated by a local council. And when you look at the different business models from venture capital back to university, corporate, pure community, and then government, my question is, who's incentivized to look after the people right outside the door? Particularly as everybody's talking about smart city. Smart city is more than just, say, widgets in your wheelie bins or having your trains on time. How do you have a fully connected, livable, and enabled city? And by having an innovation hub with a direct line of sight to pretty much anything in council, that's where we have the opportunities to do that. When we first launched, we were a digital innovation hub, and that doesn't always resonate with people, particularly in regional areas. They don't see themselves as digital, and maybe don't even see themselves as entrepreneurs, when oftentimes some of the best entrepreneurs you'll find are in regional areas. So we really did have to create and change the narrative to, like I said, pretty much anyone with a bright spark of an idea. And that really resonates. We launched on the 8th of March in 2016 with about 18 members. We have about 70 members at the moment, and we're growing at an acquisition rate of about 1 or 2 a week. It's a really compelling narrative, particularly in regional areas. We really do leverage the association with Ipswich City Council and really a focus on helping people build, grow, and scale. We're more than just a co-working space. And because we're with the council, we are incentivized to look after people right outside our door. When I went over and did the innovation tour of the US, 3 weeks visiting 50 innovation hubs in Boulder, Denver, San Francisco, Kansas City, Toronto, Seattle, and Vancouver, you go in and have these multi-million-dollar conversations and then step right outside the door and step over people sleeping in the streets. If we're not intentional about that, we will simply recreate some of the challenges actually escalate them and do it in a more expedited way. So we need to be intentional about looking after the people outside our door. And so we have a real strong emphasis on social outcomes here at Firestation101. So Firestation101 is a startup, like any other, and we have our typical challenges. When we first launched, it was really exciting, moving really fast. Ipswich City Council and being a government-owned entity, a huge blessing and a bit of a challenge. It's like being publicly listed startup from day one. So having to manage both the fast pace of the startup and some of the due diligence that's just necessary for a public institution, and be able to find the resourcing mix that's required. And also on a very personal scale, trying to find ways for me to both leverage my strengths, but also make sure I have that focus and attention to detail, spanning the gap. Look, and everyone does it within a startup. You're sitting there meeting with the delegates from another country, but oh, just a sec, I need to run out and get some milk for the coffee, I'll be right back. And so managing that stretch has been a bit of a challenge, but as we head into year 2, we're getting our resourcing mix right, and we're saying, okay, well, that worked for year 1. What do we set aside? What do we move towards? Within Ipswich, there were 5 startups in 2015 when they did a regional register of startups. In 2 very short years, we've gone from 5 to, I've had over 150 startups through our doors since we opened. Now you don't go from 5 to 150 and have these rich, digitally mature companies, but there is a huge appetite and people are starting to understand the narrative. And so there's a less of an initial education piece and more of, great, now how do we help you get that off the ground? And I think within 2 or 3 years, we're going to start moving more into that maturity and that scale up as we educate our entire ecosystem, particularly around the investors and the corporate partners on how they engage. We know that 4 walls and a Wi-Fi is not what you need only. It helps, but otherwise libraries will be pumping out entrepreneurs right, left, and center. So it needs leadership and it needs programs and events. And those programs and events need to be supported by investment. And I would challenge any region and say that investment should largely come from local council, because who gets the benefit of people staying in the region, developing new innovations, new opportunities? I would say it's local council supported by the corporations, which can then help commercialize it. So Ipswich is a bit of a microcosm on the rapid maturing process of an ecosystem. Then when you look at Queensland overall, I believe it started very likely with Steve Baxter back in 2012, 2011 when he opened River City Labs. That was the huge push, and he really was a leader during that time. I am what I am because of Steve Baxter, because of certain conversations I had with him back when he first opened. So now here I am running this place. Now, as you see some of these programs, you're starting to see the broader ecosystem mature and scale. You're starting to see the likes of Blue Chili and Techstars and 500 Startups and some of these accelerator models go out. I think the regional conversation is still a bit of a challenge. How do you get what quite often is a 6-figure accelerator program into a regional area that's barely able to actually get a space up to begin with? So I think there does need to be programs and events which allow innovation to happen in the region, for the region, by the region, that just doesn't take all the talent and rip it out and stick it into the city. Because under that narrative, let's just shut up shop in Australia and we'll all move to Silicon Valley. I don't think that's appropriate. We need to find a regional conversation for innovation. We need to do it pretty rapidly.